My name is Captain Nightwhisper. Tonight's file isn't about a battlefield. No patrols, no radio codes, no coordinates on a war map. It's about a different kind of war. The one that starts when a stranger decides your grief is an opening. We like to think the worst thing that can happen to a family is losing a child. We're wrong. Sometimes something worse shows up at the door. Not a monster with teeth and claws, but a person who knows exactly what the monster would look like if it learned how to mimic hope. This is the story of a young woman who saw a missing person flyer and thought it was the easiest job she'd ever pull. It started as a con. It didn't stay that way, because somewhere between the lies, the makeup, and the forged documents, she stopped pretending, and that family stopped being sure they ever had just one daughter to begin with. This is the case I call, I pretended to be a missing girl so I could rob her family. The first time she saw the girl, she was on her way to steal cigarettes. Her name, the name she was using at the time, anyway, was Kara. She moved through cities like most people moved through moods. Quick, restless, and never staying long enough to leave forwarding information. The convenience store window was cluttered with the usual noise. Lottery posters, expired sale stickers, a sun-faded ad for cheap energy drinks. Behind all of it, taped to the glass at eye level, was a missing person flyer. Kara wasn't the kind of person who slowed down for other people's tragedies, but this one stopped her anyway. The girl in the photograph looked familiar. Dark hair, parted the same way Kara wore it when she bothered to style it. A faint scar on the left eyebrow. Kara had one in almost the same place, courtesy of a busted bottle 3 boyfriends ago. Same narrow jawline, same tired eyes that made her look older than she was. The headline above the photo screamed, "Have you seen our daughter? Missing since October 12th. Kara leaned closer. The plastic sleeve over the flyer crackled faintly. The name under the picture was Megan Hollis, age 19, last seen leaving a bus stop outside a town Kara had never heard of. There was a reward listed. There was a phone number. There were words about desperate parents and any information at all. But what caught Kara wasn't the text. It was the mirror. In the glass, her own face hovered like a ghost over Megan's. For a second, the angle lined up just right. She saw herself in the search. Same nose, same lips, same smudge of something at the corner of the mouth that could have been a shadow or a stain. She pulled back. The resemblance faded. "Creepy," she muttered, and went inside. The clerk hardly glanced at her. The theft was easy. It almost always was. People didn't look up. That was the secret. As she walked back out, lighter wallet in her pocket, and the night pressing down close, her eyes drifted again to the flyer. This time, something else drew her in. A line of text at the bottom, in bold. "Family will cover travel for verified sightings. Please help bring her home." Kara paused. Travel covered. A family desperate enough to pay strangers just to talk. A face that looked enough like hers that, with some work, someone squinting through tears might see what they wanted to see. The thought arrived like a whisper she didn't want to admit she'd heard. I could be her. The second thought came right behind it, sharper and colder. I could walk into that house, and they'd open everything for me. Drawers, safes, accounts. Hope makes people sloppy. Kara stared at the flyer until the streetlights began to buzz overhead. Then she took out her phone, snapped a picture of Megan's face, and walked away. By the time she reached the end of the block, it wasn't just a resemblance, it was a plan. You can't just show up and say, "Hi, I'm your missing daughter," anymore. There are cameras, hospital records, dental charts, DNA kits you can buy off the internet with free shipping. But Kara knew something else. Systems are only as strong as the people who use them, and people are fragile things. She started small. The number on the flyer was easy to trace. Old landline, registered in a town 3 hours away. in the name of Daniel and Laura Hollis. She found their Facebook profiles in under 10 minutes. The pages were exactly what she expected. Photos of barbecues, Christmas trees, a dog that had died 2 years ago and was still pinned at the top of Laura's profile with a broken heart emoji, and pictures of Megan. Not just the polished, carefully chosen missing person photo from the flyer. Candid shots, blurry ones. Megan squinting into the sun on a dock. Megan blowing out candles at a 13th birthday party. Megan with braces and acne, then without either. Kara copied everything. She made a private folder labeled Hollis and started filling it like a magpie building a nest. She watched videos where Megan's voice threaded through the background. "Mom, stop filming, seriously." "Dad, you're on mute again." Laughter that broke into coughing. The resemblance wavered and then snapped into place again and again. They weren't identical, but they were close enough that any differences could be written off. Weight loss to stress, features shifted by time, eyes haunted by whatever Megan was supposed to have gone through. There was an old news article linked on one of the posts. Kara opened it in a new tab. Local girl missing, foul play, not ruled out. The article mentioned a bus stop, a late shift at a part-time job, an empty stretch of road between town and the Hollis home, a backpack found in a ditch, no sign of Megan. There were quotes from the police. There were quotes from the parents. There was nothing that said, "body recovered." The world hadn't decided if Megan was dead. That uncertainty was Kara's opening. She went further, forums, old Reddit threads, a true crime subreddit that had picked up the case for a week and then moved on to fresher tragedies. After 2 hours, she knew more about the Hollis family than most of their neighbors probably did. Daniel, accountant, quiet, according to his co-workers, fell apart publicly at a candlelight vigil. Laura, former librarian, current substitute teacher, organized searches, posted daily countdowns. Day 112 without you, Meg. We're never giving up. They had no other children, just a hole where one used to be. Kara sat on the edge of the cheap motel bed, screen light painting her face in the dark. She pulled up Megan's photo again, then her own reflection in the black glass when the phone dimmed. Her heart beat a little faster, not from guilt, from possibility. She knew there were risks. There would be questions, medical records. "What's your birthday? What was the name of your first pet? Do you remember the song I used to sing you when you were sick?" She also knew something else. Grief rewrites memory. Parents remember feelings, not sequences. They remember the curve of a cheek against their shoulder, not the exact color of the cast their kid wore in 3rd grade. Get enough of the big things right, and the small things would be reinterpreted as trauma damage. She doesn't remember because of what they did to her. After another hour, she knew Megan's favorite bands, the color of her first car, the college she'd planned to attend. She didn't know everything, but she knew enough to fake a beginning. The rest, she'd build in real time. Kara locked her phone. The room went dark. In the reflection of the small TV opposite the bed, for a second, she thought she saw Megan sitting where she was. Same posture, same tilted head, but with eyes just a little more tired. She blinked, just her own reflection again. "You're not real," Kara murmured to the empty room. "You're an opportunity." Outside, a train horn wailed in the distance. Kara lay back, hands behind her head, listening. Every plan she'd ever made in her life had been about survival. Get money, leave town before anyone asked too many questions. This one was bigger. This one felt heavier. It also felt like the first time she'd ever been offered a script instead of improvising. All she had to do was step into a role, pretend well enough, take what she needed, and disappear again. She didn't fall asleep so much as slide sideways into it, still staring at the ghost in the glass. She didn't call as Megan, not at first. You had to plant the seed gently. She used a burner phone she'd bought that morning from a place that didn't ask for ID, and paid for the minutes with cash. When she dialed the number on the flyer, her hand didn't shake. Her heartbeat didn't spike. This was work. The line rang 4 times. A woman picked up. Her voice was brittle from too much use and not enough rest. "Hello?" "Hi," Kara said, pitching her voice higher, softer. "Is this the Hollis residence?" "Yes." The reply was immediate, half a breath. "Yes, it is. Did you see our flyer?" Yeah." Kara let a pause stretch out, delicate as glass. "I'm not sure if this is anything, but I think I might have seen your daughter." The silence on the line bloomed like heat. "Where?" The question came out as a gasp. A man's voice murmured something in the background. "Who is it? What did they say?" And the woman didn't answer him. "I was passing through a bus station," Kara said. "In Grayford. I saw a girl sitting alone. Dark hair, same kind of jacket as in the picture. There was this look, like she didn't know where she was supposed to be." She let her own voice catch on that last line, just a little. "Grayford," the woman whispered. "That's 4 hours from here. Did she talk to anyone? Did you talk to her?" Kara swallowed for effect. "No, I'm sorry. I didn't really realize it might be her until later. I saw your flyer online when I stopped at a diner, and I thought, maybe." "What time was this?" The woman's tone sharpened. Hope's teeth were showing. "Around 8 last night," Kara said. "She had a backpack, blue, and a keychain with a little plastic cow on it." That detail was real. Kara had seen it in one of the older pictures. Megan, age 12, grinning at a fair, clutching a stuffed cow toy. On the phone, the woman made a sound that wasn't quite a sob. "That sounds like her," she said. "That really sounds like her." Kara could hear shuffling, the man's voice, crossed lines of panic and possibility. The woman came back closer. "Please," she said, "if you see her again, if there's any chance, Grayford is not that big. We can drive there, we can—" Kara cut in gently. "I don't live there," she said. "I was just passing through. I'm sorry. I wish I could help more. I just didn't want to say nothing." No, you did the right thing," the woman insisted. Thank you so much for calling. If you remember anything else, anything at all." "I will." They exchanged a few more details, the dance of strangers tied together by a photograph. Before she hung up, Kara slid in what she needed. "I might be back through that way," she said. "Not sure yet. If I do see her, should I call you? Or is there somewhere else? The police? Or—" "Call us," the woman said, too quickly. "Please, the police. They're doing what they can. But just call us. We'll come. We'll do the rest." Kara ended the call. The burner felt suddenly heavier in her hand. Step 1. Done. She'd planted the image. Megan, alive, moving. Close enough to touch, just not yet. The next step would be harder. She would need an escape, a way to bridge the gap between sighting and return. Abduction, memory loss, long-term captivity. People loved those narratives. They were familiar from TV, from podcasts. The story of the miracle survivor, walking back into her parents' arms after years in the dark. Kara knew all that. What she didn't know was that, on the other end of the line, Megan's old bedroom light had flicked on by itself, while Laura talked. The house was old. Circuits were tricky. That's what Daniel would say later. But in the moment, no one was looking. The room was empty. The bed was neatly made. On the dresser, in an old frame, Megan's photo faced the window. If anyone had been in the doorway right then, they might have sworn the reflection in the glass didn't look quite like it used to. But no one was there. The house just sat, waiting. Kara wasn't stupid enough to just show up unannounced. She needed a story. She spent 3 days becoming a girl who never got the chance to grow up. First, the surface. Hair dyed 2 shades darker to match the color Megan had in the latest photos. A cheap scar wax kit from a costume shop, used to deepen the line above her eyebrow. Contacts a shade closer to Megan's hazel, picked out under the jaundiced light of a drugstore aisle. Then the body. Missing people didn't come back healthy. She stopped eating for 24 hours, then another, letting the hollows under her cheekbones sharpen. She slept in fits, forcing her eyes to redden around the edges. She practiced flinching at sudden movements in the motel mirror. Then the history. She made flashcards with facts. Favorite candy, sour gummies. Dog's name, Jasper. Best friend in high school, Alana Pierce. Nickname from dad, Bug. Nickname from mom, Meggie. She rehearsed them until they were muscle memory. But she did something else too, without fully admitting she was doing it. She started talking to Megan. Not like a ghost, not exactly, just when she was alone and the motel room felt like a badly cut out part of reality that could peel away if she pushed too hard. She'd say things out loud like, "You had it better than I did, you know that? You had parents who put your face on lampposts when you vanished. Mine would have just sighed in relief. What did you do, huh? Get in the wrong car? Trust the wrong smile?" She didn't expect answers, so the first time she thought she heard something, she wrote it off as lack of sleep. She was sitting on the bed, phone in hand, scrolling through Megan's messages. The girl's old Twitter account was frozen in time. The last post was a retweet of a meme about bad coffee. Classic, Kara murmured. "You're not funny." A thought slid across her mind. Not her own tone, not quite. She looked up sharply. "Okay," she said aloud to the empty room. "Nope, we're not doing that." She closed the apps. She put the phone face down. The air felt slightly heavier. Kara took a breath. "You're not real," she told the nothing. "You're just data." On the dresser, the cheap motel Bible lay open where someone had left it. The thin pages shivered, though the air was still. Kara didn't notice. She was too busy booking a bus ticket to the Hollis family's town, under a new fake name. She chose it at random from a list. Passenger, Megan H. The town looked exactly like Kara expected it to. Too many flags, too many churches. A main street that had died when the mall opened 2 exits down the highway. She arrived just before dusk. The bus coughed her out with a handful of other travelers. No one looked at her twice. She didn't go straight to the house. First, she walked. She learned the grid by feel. She passed the grocery store where Megan had worked summers. She passed the school, the old playground Megan's mother had posted wistful photos of. Everywhere, there were little traces. Faded missing posters on bulletin boards, weather-stained and curling at the edges. A mural someone had painted on the side of a coffee shop. A stylized girl under stars, with the words, "We're still looking." Kara tugged her jacket tighter. By the time she reached the Hollis house, the streetlights were blinking on. It wasn't anything special. Single story, peeling white paint, a crooked mailbox with Hollis stenciled on the side. But the lawn was trimmed. The porch light was on. And in the front window, framed by curtains, was a shrine. Candles, photographs, laminated flyers. Kara stood at the gate for a long minute. She could turn around, catch the next bus out, sell the burner, erase the folder, forget the way Megan's mother's voice had cracked on the word, "daughter." "You're not going to," something whispered, not unkindly. "You're already inside." She blinked. The thought felt foreign, like someone had walked through her brain with muddy shoes. Her fingers tightened on the strap of her bag. She walked up the path. When she knocked, she already knew how she'd look. Small, fragile, half there. The door opened halfway. Laura Hollis stared at her from the gap. For a moment, they just breathed the same slice of air. Kara had prepared for skepticism, for questions. She hadn't prepared for Laura's face to crumple like a paper bag. "Megan?" she whispered. Kara didn't have to fake the way her throat closed. She nodded, just once. Laura made a sound that wasn't meant for human throats. The door flew open. Arms were around Kara, crushing, shaking, hands in her hair, against her back. Behind Laura, a man appeared in the hallway, eyes wide and unfocused. He said her name the way people said the names of gods and hurricanes. Megan. Kara tried to keep her weight under control, let herself sag just enough that they had to hold her up. I didn't know where else to go, she whispered, stealing lines from a dozen interviews she'd watched with real survivors. I'm sorry I took so long. I'm so sorry. Laura pulled her inside. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and old fear. Photographs lined the walls. Megan as a toddler. Megan with missing teeth. Megan in a graduation gown she'd never get to wear. Kara felt the weight of all those versions of the same girl pressing in. For a moment, just a second, she wondered if somewhere, whatever was left of Megan was watching this. If Megan was angry, or relieved. We don't get to be picky, a cold, practical shard of Kara's mind said. You survive with what you have. Daniel guided her to the couch, hands trembling. Are you hurt? He asked. Did they do something to you? We can go to the hospital. We should call the police. Not yet, Kara said quickly, letting panic edge her voice. Please, not yet. I need to be here. Please, don't send me back there. Back where? Laura's hands found hers, gripping hard enough to leave marks. Where have you been? Who had you? Meggie, we looked everywhere. We thought... She cut herself off. She didn't say we thought you were dead. She didn't have to. Kara let tears gather. She'd learned to cry on command a long time ago. This time, they came a little too easily. Somewhere far, she said. I don't remember everything. Please, can we talk about it tomorrow? Laura nodded, desperate to be kind. Of course, she said. Of course, sweetheart. You don't have to say anything yet. You're home. That's what matters. The word hit Kara harder than she expected. Home. It had never belonged to her before. Not really. It rolled through her ribcage like an echo. Upstairs, in a room that had been kept dusted and untouched for over a year, something shifted. A hairbrush rolled off a dresser, untouched by wind. A picture frame tilted. If you'd been in the hallway, you might have heard a second set of footsteps, half a beat out of sync with the 3 living people moving around the house. But no one was in the hallway. They were downstairs, wrapping themselves around a stranger with their daughter's face. No one noticed the bedroom door, which had been firmly closed for months, open itself a crack, just wide enough for someone to look through, or back in. The next 24 hours were a blur of careful lies. Kara slept in Megan's bed. Laura insisted. She'd stripped the sheets, remade it fresh, fussed over the pillow like it mattered. Kara lay there, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to the ceiling. They were old, losing their shine. They still held a dim, stubborn light. This is too easy, she thought. They should ask more questions. They didn't. Not at first. They brought her food. They brought her clothes that had been Megan's. They sat on the edge of the bed and touched her like she might dissolve. When they finally started asking, they were careful, tiptoeing around the worst parts. Where did they take you, honey? Do you remember any names? Was it just one man? More than one? Kara had prepared. Basement, chain, a room without windows, a truck, a smell of oil and cigarettes, hands that didn't have faces. She gave them enough. Enough to make their horror feel justified. Not enough to give any real trail for police to follow later. I think he picked me up near the bus stop, she said. I was tired. I thought it was a rideshare. I don't remember his face, just his jacket. Brown, work boots. She made sure to tremble, to shut down when things got too specific. It worked. Laura cried. Daniel clenched his fists. They didn't push. They called the police, eventually. They had to. It would have been suspicious if they didn't. The officers who came were polite, stunned, a little disbelieving, but disbelief doesn't stand long in the face of a mother's conviction. "She's my daughter," Laura said fiercely, when one of them hesitated. The officer glanced from her to Kara, to Megan, and swallowed. "Of course," he said. "We'll take her statement when she's ready. We'll need DNA, ma'am, just to close the old file." He looked almost ashamed of himself for saying it. Kara felt her pulse skip. DNA. She hadn't figured out that part. She kept her face calm, confused, vulnerable. Laura nodded slowly. "Whatever it takes," she said. "We'll do it. Right, honey?" She turned to Kara, eyes shining. Kara forced herself to nod. "Yeah," she said. "Whatever it takes." That night, alone in Megan's room, she opened the top drawer of the nightstand. It was full of small, ordinary things. Half-used lip balm, old ticket stubs, a friendship bracelet, a tube of mascara hardened into uselessness, and a hairbrush. Kara picked it up. Dark strands were tangled in the bristles, real ones, old but intact. She stared at them. The easy solution slid into her mind like a knife. Mix them, yours and hers. Contaminate the sample. Push the result just out of clarity, enough that grief fills in the gaps. She'd done smaller versions of that trick before, jobs that blurred edges, passed off fakes as originals. She turned the brush in her hands. The mirror over the dresser showed her a face that was both hers and not. For a heartbeat, she had the sickening sensation that something behind her reflection moved a fraction of a second slower than she did. "You're welcome," she murmured. The room creaked in response. Kara plucked 3 of Megan's hairs from the bristles. Then she pulled a strand from her own head, wound them together, and put them carefully into the envelope the officer had left. As she sealed it, she thought she heard a whisper right against her ear, so close she almost felt breath. "You're not supposed to be here." She spun around. Empty room, dim stars on the ceiling, posters on the wall of bands that hadn't been popular in a year. "You're dead," Kara whispered back. "Someone might as well get something out of that." Silence. She went to bed. She dreamed of hands pulling at her ankles from under it. When she woke, the mattress was still, but the hairbrush was lying on the floor, halfway between the nightstand and the door. She was sure she hadn't dropped it. The test results should have taken longer. Lab backlogs, paperwork, chain of custody. Instead, 2 days later, there was a phone call. The detective's voice buzzed faintly over the speakerphone on the kitchen table. "Preliminary matches, unusual," he said carefully. "There are strong markers consistent with a parent-child relationship. Some degradation on the sample, could be contamination, but the geneticist is confident enough to say this: whoever she is closely related to you." Laura's hand flew to her mouth. Daniel sagged against the counter. Kara sat very still. "Related?" Daniel echoed. "But not definite." "There are variables," the detective said. "Old samples, mixed material. But statistically, the odds are extremely high. This is your daughter, or a twin, a sibling, something like that. But we have no record of... We don't have any other children," Laura snapped. "We have Megan." Her eyes, when she turned them on Kara, were blazing with a ferocity that had nowhere else to go. "We have you." Kara nodded faintly. Inside her chest, something twisted. She'd expected a lie to be accepted. She hadn't expected the universe to shrug and help it along. Twin, sibling, the words stuck to her. That night, the house felt different, not just emotionally, physically. The hallways seemed narrower, the shadows stretched farther. Kara caught glimpses of movement where there shouldn't be any. A figure in the bathroom mirror, standing just out of frame. A flicker of someone sitting at the edge of the bed, when she turned her head too quickly. She told herself it was stress, guilt, if she believed in such a thing, the ordinary haunting of a conscience under pressure. Except consciences didn't usually leave fingerprints. She found one on the inside of her bedroom window. Small, smudged, too high up to be from her, unless she'd stood on tiptoe. The glass was cold. Her skin prickled when she touched it. At dinner, Daniel told stories. He was trying to anchor her, to anchor himself. "Do you remember the cabin by the lake?" he asked. "You were 9. You and I went out in the canoe, and your mother was screaming at us from the dock because you couldn't swim yet." Kara smiled carefully. "Yeah," she said. "You almost dropped me." He laughed. Laura did not. "You did fall in," Laura said. "He jumped after you." The air tightened. Daniel blinked. "Right," he said slowly. "Yeah, I did. Must have misremembered." His gaze slid away, troubled. Kara kept her expression neutral. Later, as she stood at the sink rinsing plates, Laura came up beside her. "You don't have to remember everything exactly," Laura said softly. "Trauma does things. Your dad, he fills in the wrong details sometimes. Don't let it bother you." Kara swallowed. "I'll try," she said. Behind them, down the dark hall, Megan's bedroom door was open, just enough that, if you looked closely, you might swear someone was standing just inside, listening. Kara didn't look. She didn't want to see what sort of eyes a girl had after watching someone else live in her skin. For a while, Kara forgot why she'd come. The house softened her at the edges. Warm food, clean clothes, a mother who fussed when she coughed, a father who started leaving his office door open again, humming tunelessly while he worked because the silence didn't feel so oppressive. She let herself lean into it. She let herself imagine staying. Then the mail came. Unpaid bills. A foreclosure notice, tucked quietly between catalogs. She overheard the argument. "We were going to sell the second car," Daniel said. "And the boat." "We already did," Laura snapped. "Where do you think the money for all those flyers came from? For gas to drive every back road in this county? For private investigators who took our savings and sent us 'we're sorry' emails?" They both fell silent as they realized Kara was at the top of the stairs, listening. Daniel forced a smile. "It's nothing, sweetheart," he said. "Just grown-up stuff." Kara went back to Megan's room. She sat on the bed, fingers twisting the comforter. This family didn't have a safe full of jewelry and cash. They had a house hanging by a thread. They had one working car, a dented sedan with a check engine light that had become part of the dashboard. She'd miscalculated. The job was supposed to be simple. Pose as Megan, gain access, take enough to give herself a soft landing in some other city. Instead, she'd walked into a sinking ship. She should have cut her losses, left with whatever small valuables she could pocket. A ring from the jewelry box, a credit card she could clone before they noticed. But every time she approached anything that could be taken, the house reacted. The first time, she opened Laura's jewelry drawer. Nothing fancy. A thin gold chain, a wedding ring, a bracelet with M engraved on a charm. Her fingers closed around the bracelet. The lights went out. Not just in the room, in the whole house. The sudden dark was absolute. Somewhere downstairs, Laura shouted. Daniel cursed as he bumped into something. Kara froze. The air by her ear went cold. "Put it back," someone whispered. The voice was very close. She placed the bracelet back into the drawer. The lights flicked on. Later, Daniel blamed the breaker. Old wiring. Kara did not correct him. The second time, she tried the desk in Daniel's office. Invoices, tax forms, bank statements. She wasn't sure what she was looking for. Some hidden account, a forgotten nest egg. There was a locked drawer. She jimmied it open with a letter opener and a trick she'd known since she was 15. Inside was a stack of cash, emergency money, neatly banded. Under it, a gun wrapped in an old towel. She reached for the bills. The floorboard under her foot let out a long, low groan. Not wait. Warning. The room smelled suddenly like cigarette smoke and river water and a perfume she didn't recognize. The ghost of someone else's memory. Her hand shook. She closed the drawer, relocked it, stepped back. Her heart pounded. When she passed the hallway mirror on the way out, Megan was behind her. Not fully. Not in a way any camera would have caught. Just a shimmer. A second outline, fuzzed at the edges, walking a half step behind. Kara didn't look directly at it. You never look monsters straight on. It makes them real. She told herself the house was getting to her. The weight of pretending, the crush of expectation. Then, one night, as rain tapped against the windows and the TV murmured in the background with the sound turned low, Laura fell asleep on Kara's shoulder. Kara didn't move. The remote slipped from Laura's hand and landed between them. On the screen, a news anchor moved on to another story. They'd run one earlier about Megan's miraculous return. A local miracle. Smiling officers. A blurred shot of Kara's face as she ducked into the police station. Kara watched the muted colors flicker. She felt Laura's breath, uneven against her collarbone. For the first time in longer than she could remember, someone was resting on her like she was safe ground. The thought of taking what little they had left twisted her stomach. "You're getting soft," she muttered under her breath. "You're getting seen," said the answering voice. She didn't flinch this time. "What do you want?" she whispered. The room held its breath. The remote clicked. She hadn't touched it. The TV screen went black. In the reflection, she saw herself and another girl sitting beside her. Same posture, same jawline, looking at her with an expression that was not kind, not cruel either, just appraising. Kara turned her head. The couch was empty, except for her and Laura. When she looked back at the screen, the reflection was normal, but the question remained, what do you want? She didn't know anymore if she was asking herself or the house. The storm hit on a Wednesday. Power flickered. Trees leaned into the wind like they were trying to hear better. The police had been calling more often. They wanted more details, faces, names, descriptions that fit into forms. Kara's answers had started to sound thin, even to herself. "We'll protect you," one officer said gently during a recorded interview. "But we need the truth, Megan. Whatever you can give us." She'd stared at the red recording light. It looked too much like a blinking eye. That night, she decided she'd gone far enough. The plan in her head had changed shape. She couldn't gut them for money. There wasn't much to take, but she could still carve something out. Sympathy, community donations, an old lady neighbor who'd slipped her an envelope already. "Just for you, honey, to get yourself something nice, after all that time." If she left quietly, with a few gifts that came with no receipts, no signatures, no strings, she could push another few states away and start over. Leave them with the belief their daughter had run again, this time by choice. It wasn't kinder. It just felt less cruel than emptying their accounts and vanishing. She sat on the edge of Megan's bed, a half-packed backpack at her feet. Rain streaked the window. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She shouldn't have answered. She did. "Hello?" A hiss. Static. Then a voice, warped by a bad connection. "Is this Megan?" Not Laura. Not Daniel. A girl. Kara frowned. "Who is this? You don't remember me?" The girl laughed softly. "Wow, guess they really did a number on you." Something cold ran down Kara's spine. "Alana?" she guessed, reaching for the name of Megan's old friend. "No." The way the word dropped into her ear made her skin crawl. The line crackled. "I'm you," the voice whispered. Kara swallowed. Very funny. Some rational part of her wanted to say. Instead, she managed, "What do you want?" "You took my room," the voice said. "My clothes, my parents, my place in the world." Kara stood. The bed creaked. "This is a joke," she said. "Someone hacked something. spoofed this number. The voice hummed. You're not listening. You didn't steal from me. You stepped into the space where I used to be. Lightning flashed, turning the room white for a second. In that moment, the reflection in the window wasn't hers. It was Megan's. Or, close enough. Same tired eyes, same scar, but the expression was wrong. Too calm. I don't believe in ghosts, Kara said. Lucky for you, the voice replied. I'm not a ghost. The call cut. Her phone screen showed no service. The storm had knocked something out, probably. She sat back down, hard. You're cracking, she told herself. You're tired. You've been lying non-stop for days. That's all. Under the bed, something shifted. A slow drag, like fingertips trailing across wood. Kara didn't look. She grabbed her backpack. If she left now, she could walk to the bus station before the roads flooded. She opened the bedroom door. Laura was standing there. Her eyes were red. Her hair was mussed like she'd been pulling at it. Meggie, she said, where are you going? Kara froze. I just needed some air, she said. The storm, it's loud. Laura's gaze flicked past her to the backpack. You're not leaving, she said. Her tone wasn't accusing, it was pleading. Please, don't leave. Not again. We just got you back. Kara's throat tightened. She could push past her. She knew how to move through people, how to slip through spaces. But something in Laura's face stopped her. Guilt wasn't new. She'd felt versions of it before. This was heavier, sticky, like stepping into a puddle that turned out to be tar. I'm not going, she said. I promise. I just need the noise to stop. Laura nodded slowly. Stay, she whispered. We'll make it quiet. Whatever you need. You're our daughter. We'll fix this. Kara swallowed. The storm roared outside. Inside, the house held its breath, listening. Time got weird after that. Days blurred into one another. Police interviews, news vans parked at the end of the street, neighbors dropping off casseroles like offerings to a god they hoped would stay on their side. Kara moved through it like someone underwater. She started dreaming of lives that weren't hers, standing on the edge of the lake cabin dock with Daniel, age 9, toes gripping the wood, the smell of Jasper's fur after a bath, the taste of cheap red popsicles from the gas station a mile from school. They came with feelings, layers of love, boredom, annoyance, that didn't fit any of Kara's real memories. At first, she assumed she'd just absorbed too much from the photos, the stories. Then she woke up with a song in her head she'd never heard before. It was a lullaby. The words were simple. The melody was higher at the end, like a question. She found herself humming it in the kitchen one morning while making coffee. Behind her, Laura went very still. Where did you learn that? She whispered. Kara turned. What? That song. Laura's eyes were filling with tears. I used to sing that to you when you had nightmares. You were 3. We never recorded it. I made it up. It was just ours. Kara's mouth went dry. I don't know, she said. It just came to me. Laura smiled through the tears. I knew it was you, she said. I never doubted. Not really. She crossed the room, hugged Kara hard. Kara let her. Over Laura's shoulder, in the hallway mirror, another girl watched them. Her expression was unreadable. That night, Kara tried to pack again. She couldn't find the backpack. She was sure she'd left it in the corner, half filled. It was gone. She checked the closet, under the bed, the hallway. Nothing. The window rattled. She crossed to it, pulling the curtains aside. On the glass, in the faint condensation from the stormy air, words had scrawled themselves. Stay. Her own breath fogged the letters, made them bleed. She wiped them away with the heel of her hand. The next morning, Laura called up the stairs. Megan, You awake? Your friend Alana is here." Kara froze halfway through pulling on a sweater. She'd known this was coming. Friends, old teachers, people from Megan's life, wanting to see the miracle girl. She'd prepared, but Alana's hug shook her more than Laura's had. "Oh my God!" Alana sobbed, holding her at arm's length, then pulling her back in. "I thought you were dead. I thought—" Her words broke. Kara tried to smile. "Hey," she said, "I'm hard to get rid of." They sat in Megan's room, door half closed. Pictures of the two of them together were on the walls. Alana pointed at one. "Remember this?" she asked. "We skipped school and went to the quarry. You chickened out on the jump until I pushed you." "I didn't chicken out," Kara said automatically. "You just went first." Alana blinked. "That's not how I remember it," she said. The air thickened. "Trauma," Kara said quickly. "Maybe I don't know. Things are fuzzy." Alana's expression softened. "Right," she said. "God, listen to me. Grilling you like a cop. I'm sorry. I can't believe you're here." She squeezed Kara's hand. Her gaze drifted over Kara's shoulder. She frowned. "Your mirror's messed up," she said. Kara turned. The mirror on the closet door was slightly warped. Cheap glass. Two girls sat on the bed. One solid. One just a shade fainter. Alana's grip tightened. I have to go," she said abruptly. "I'll come back. This is a lot." She left in a rush, almost tripping over the hallway rug. Kara was alone again. "You're scaring people," she said to the empty room. Silence. Then softly, from nowhere and everywhere at once. "So are you." This is usually the part where I tell you how it ended. That's the comfort we get from stories. Beginnings, middles, neat little closes. Missing person cases don't like neat closes. Con artists don't, either. Depending on which version you read, Kara eventually took what she could and left without looking back. Other accounts say she stayed until the guilt crushed her, sat her parents down, and confessed everything. Those are the human endings. They're possible. They taste familiar. But there's a third possibility, the one no one writes down because it doesn't look good in a file. What if, somewhere between the lie and the life, something else slid in? What if, in the act of becoming Megan, Kara opened a door for what was left of the real girl? Trauma does strange things to memory. Houses do strange things to time. Grief does strange things to reality. Maybe Kara's fake memories weren't fake at all. Maybe they were borrowed. Maybe the girl on the bus stop never got to go home, not in a straight line. Maybe whatever happened to her left a version of her stuck between places, waiting. And when she saw someone with her face, walking freely, ready to put on her life like a costume, maybe she stepped in, not to possess, not in the way the movies show it, just to lean gently over Kara's shoulder, whisper the lullaby, correct a detail, push a hairbrush off a table, write stay on a window. Because here's the thing, if you put on someone else's ghost long enough, if you let their name sit on your tongue, their clothes on your back, their parents' arms around you for comfort, at some point, you stop knowing where they end and you begin. You stop pretending. You just are. So the question isn't, did Kara get away with it? The question is, when she finally looked in the mirror one day, years later, in some other small town, in some other borrowed life, and the face looking back whispered a lullaby she didn't remember learning, whose reflection was she really seeing? My name is Captain Nightwhisper. If you ever find yourself staring at a missing person flyer, and you feel it staring back like a mirror, walk away. Not because the family doesn't deserve the truth, but because some spaces left behind by the disappeared don't want to stay empty. And if you step into them for long enough, you might not be the only one living in your skin anymore.